down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
What's going on, Savvy Investors? This is your friend, Steve VanCauwenbergh, a.k.a. the Savvy Landlord. You tuned in to the Savvy Radio Show. I'm glad you did, because I'm going to bring it today, episode number 454. Wow. Think about it. 454 times I open my big mouth. I'm just playing. Today we're going to talk about real estate negotiation tactics. Ooh, if you don't know me, you're about to get to know me, because I love negotiating. This is one of my favorite subjects. I'm excited that you could do that in real estate, and hopefully you get some tips. First, I got to drop off a quote I just read the other day from John F. Kennedy. Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. Way to go, John F. Kennedy. You should never have fear, and you can negotiate if you want to. You just have to negotiate. Number one, here's my favorite one. It's called the push and pull method. Now, this is interesting. This is actually a dating concept. It's called the push and pull method, and at the end of this first one, let me get to it right now so I don't forget. You could check out more in depth about the push and pull. It's called seduceinseconds.com. Anyway, I got the push and pull method from a friend who was dating at the time, or trying to date, and trying to pick up girls or whatever. And he told me about the push and pull method, and I was like, man, that's pretty baller, you know. And just real quick, it's like I know. I wonder what you're thinking right now. Where's this going? Okay. It's a powerful piece of social engineering that is so prevalent across many different approaches to negotiation. It's like the give and take. The push and pull sends mixed messages to your seller. For example, or if you're dating, does he like me? Does he not? It's a bit like teachers you had in school. Remember those that you loved, that you respected and feared at the same time? Their approval wasn't easily earned, yet you're the first student they saw, and you have the time to dish out the praise on everyone. So people want to be pursued. People don't want to be rejected. So you kind of lightly reject them to make them pursue you. That's kind of the push and pull method in general. Let me say it again. People don't want to be rejected. People want to be pursued. You give them a little rejection, and then they come back. And, like in real estate, when you're walking through a house, and, some techniques are, oh, man, it's the world is going to end because there's this giant crack. Now, some of that technique works. That's the kind of the push and pull method in general. And I've learned through the years that sometimes just being a problem solver, a savior at that moment, because they don't know how to deal with a giant crack. Eventually, though, the push and pull method trains people to chase approval from you because they value it, because it's not easily achieved. As in most cases of life, things that come easily are not valued, and that is the cornerstone of understanding the push and pull method. Okay, so you got to create this value by walking away, not necessarily strong, but jabs back and forth. Continually make the seller aware that there's more to you than you initially thought, that you are the problem solver. You don't come out and say, hey, I got X amount of houses and I buy. That may be a technique and that may work, but you don't want to overdo it. The moment they feel they know you inside and out, they lose interest in you. Always keep the chase alive. And I adapted a lot of this information from seduceinseconds.com. I haven't paid for their services or anything. And if you're, a single guy out there and you're learning how to pick up ladies, you might want to go to that website and check it out. Anyway, number 2, justify your position with substance. Man, and I'm not talking about drugs, okay? Here's my secret sauce. So, the push and pull method is my favorite. Now we're number 2, justify your position with substance. Seriously, this is my secret sauce on how I lock up contracts on a daily basis. And first of all, if you study me or follow me at all, I'm real big on the DISC profiling. So the DISC profiling is, you learn other people's personality, especially you should learn your own personality. But when you have an upper hand and an advantage, if you know their personality, if you're dealing with someone that's a C, very analytical, details by the book, don't deviate, well, you give them what they need, all the details. A lot of problems when people negotiate, they just start throwing up on people. Like, this is what I give you for the house. And then they wonder why that people don't negotiate or they don't get deals, because you're not figuring out who you're dealing with. Who are you talking to? So here's my secret sauce. I justify my offer with substance, and that is photos. Yep. All the dang, dirty, nasty photos. If it's a video. But I give them substance. I give them details. I give them details of what it would cost to get the deal done. That, there's a variable, like one, if you want to use a realtor, it costs this much money. If you don't use a realtor, it costs this much money. If you got the house ready to rent ready, or it's going to cost you this much, and then you're going to try to sell it, and then you got holding costs. I justify my offer with substance, with details, costs, and then also the benefit. You got to find out, if you study their personality on the front end, then you'll know what's their benefit. Some people just want to go buy a boat. Some people just want to alleviate the pain. And that's what we do as hustlers, wholesalers. You know who you are. You are solving a pain. And the benefit is that we can close quickly. That may be a technique, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. Or you will be great for your family, or you'll have a lump sum, and what you do with that money could mean more than selling the property. Like they could be paying off debt, or going on a trip, or they don't need the money and they just want to get rid of the headache, and they may give you terms. So justify your position, and I justify that position as I'm a real estate investor. I do a lot of owner financed, and maybe we can do an installment that you become the bank. You justify your position, but you've got to find out when you're negotiating, what is their position. Justify your position with substance and know what their position is with substance. All right, that's number 2. Hopefully that wasn't too deep on you. Number 3, old school, here we go. Meet me halfway. Yes. Now, I Googled that up for some weird reason. I don't know why. I wrote this podcast, and I'm in the middle of doing some content research. And I saw an auto car dealership just blast this. Like, this is dumb. You lose revenue. And I was reading a bunch of stuff on this, and I was realizing a lot of people are forgetting what they're trying to accomplish. It's got to be beneficiary for the seller, and it's got to be beneficiary for you. You have a problem. You're trying to buy houses, to buy assets. They have a problem. They're trying to sell their house. That's a problem for them. Now, of course, there's the ultimate underlying thing. They want to get as much as possible for their deal or house or whatever, and you want to get it as least as possible. Okay, there's a conflict there. Now, how you display that, like I said earlier, with substance, but you can do the old school, meet me halfway. And it focuses on the other side and their mindset. Meeting in the middle is a lot like a compromise. Nobody's too sure of what we should do. We haven't been able to beat the other side into submission. That's what most people do. They just start slapping people with pricing or terms, and they get heated. Let's meet in the middle and call it a day. I have done this ton of times. I'm just tired. You're worn out. You called each other's names under your breath, and you don't understand why they won't move, or they're done reasoning. And just say, meet in the middle. A lot of people I see, I go to the flea market and negotiate there. A lot of people just say that, meet in the middle, just as they're quick. I use that as my last resort. And when the true negotiating is that you got to give something and you got to receive something. Okay. If they want a discount, okay, this is the ultimate negotiations right here. If they want a reduction in price, okay, I'll give you a reduction in price, but you're going to give me my terms, or you're going to close quickly, or you're going to put a new roof on, or you're going to change your insurance benefits, and that I've received them. You could meet in the middle, and it should always be in your mind a win-win. Don't shortcut the process. Meet in the middle. You may well miss the target and leave money on the table. So you may just be falling out of a deal because you just are not, you're being selfish, right? You're just looking at it from your perspective. Look at it from their perspective. And, meeting in the middle is just a win for me. What's my agenda? What's my goal? I'm trying to buy the property. All right. Number 4, I test this one all the time. And this is just a saying, those 7 famous words. What's the best you can do? Dude, I don't even remember the last time I said that. First of all, when I hear those words, that's the best you can do, it's offensive to me. Seriously, I love it when I put something on Facebook to sell or Craigslist. What's the best you can do? I don't even know if you're viable. I don't even know if you have the money. I don't even know. You might be living in Texas on my ad and you can't drive up here, right? Because you're broke and you don't have a car because you talk like that. What's the best you can do? I think that's just whack, and it should be cut out of the negotiating handbook, wherever that is. What I have created, and I haven't found this anywhere, but have you considered? It's a soft way. It's like a jab instead of a punch. When I hear, what's the best you could do, I feel like I'm getting punched. But when I say, have you considered, number 4, this is number 4, have you considered taking $3 for that $10 item? Have you considered working with me instead of a realtor? Have you considered that we can close quickly, thus why we're asking you for a reduction of your price? I just straight up just say, would you consider this much? I practice this all the time. If you want to master negotiating, and I hope you do, you made it this far in this little podcast here, is just ask that. Just throw out the number. Have you considered this? And it just kind of gets them in the mood, gets them in a position, and that's the position that you want. Negotiating is a game, and it's a game of will and of patience. Remember that. It's a game. It's going to take strong will, and you got to have patience. And so when you say that, hey, I'm trying to buy this RC car off this dude, let's say, and he's got it priced at $200, but I really want to buy it for $100. I'm serious. Like, have you considered? I mean, would you consider $100 for the RC car? Now it's going to slap him. Now you got to count to 10 in your mind. 10, 9, 8, 7, and that's how you win. All right. Now number 5. You're going to like this one. Invisible factors. Yep, you got to think of there's invisible factors in the game of negotiating. You, as a buyer, you may consider that you know it all, that you know everything, or they're selling because they need money. That's where creative financing comes in, and a lot of people miss opportunities. That's not necessarily the case. In my world, I'm selling property. It's not that I need the money. I need less headache because I want a different lifestyle. Ooh, did you think that way? There's invisible factors. Drawing out the invisible motivators is the key to negotiating. It's the other person's positions based on the outside influence until the influence is known and understood so you can negotiate effectively. You got to know a seller could be motivated to sell because they have a sick relative or something out of the area. They're transferring. They got to move. They have a baby on the way. There's so many factors. We always are just so quick to assume, and now this new young generation, they may be different than my generation. We just assume straight out the gate that they need money. That's why they're unloading it. Without knowing the fact, a buyer will just throw money at the deal when the money doesn't solve the invisible motivator. You're just throwing out a number, and it necessarily doesn't work. And I'm telling you, I have failed, lost deals many times where I just slap people with, I have cash and I close quick. I know that's what they teach you in wholesaling. I know that's what a lot of investors use, and it does work. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's everywhere. You look at home investors, they have a totally different perspective. which is pretty remarkable in my mind, that we buy ugly houses. I mean, it's ugly. So they just put it out there. They know it has a problem. They know it stinks. They know that nobody wants it. And so they've already cut to the chase. But not everybody just needs cash. Now, this is interesting. My wife says this a lot. She's a crock pot and I'm a frying pan. You want to have some intimacy with your wife and you want to make it epic, right? You got to turn the crock pot on. It just doesn't come on overnight. It's not a microwave. Okay. And that's the same thing here. When this situation in negotiating, you just kick them, hit them with the price, and sometimes it crushes them. You got to know the invisible factors. Ask as many questions, open-ended questions with effective pauses, so you can get them talking, so you can get them understanding, and then you start getting on them. You start getting to their level, maybe mirroring them, and maybe we'll talk about that at another time. Until you know why they want to negotiate. It's impossible for you to close this deal on great terms if you don't know where they're coming from. Because it could be that they want a large sum. I learned this from one of my homies, is like, give them asking price, but give them on your terms, meaning no interest. When you add it up, say they loan it to you for 20 years, you do terms like you're buying an owner finance with no interest, but they got their money and you saved a buttload of money because you didn't pay interest. Remember that negotiating is happening every time the parties are interacting. Yep, that's when you guys are getting together. Anytime you're thinking of whether they're talking about a deal or what they're going to do with the money or even about the weather, negotiating is beginning when you're interacting with people. Always keep your mind alert and negotiating, and you have the right mindset. You got to have the right mindset. What's our mindset? What are we trying to do? What's our agenda here? You have a problem. I have a problem. I need to solve my problem. I'm here to solve your problem. Stay focused on getting your sellers negotiation drivers. Like, why are they doing this? What's the reasoning behind? Now, you don't just come out and say, hey, why are you selling? And I'm not saying that's not a bad question, but that's probably not a question that you're going to say right out the gate. Also, what are you going to do with the proceeds of this sale? Ooh, and then again, you got to pause in between. Ask as many open-ended questions as possible with effective pauses to get the other side talking. Anyway, my name is Stephen VanCauwenbergh. You tuned in to the Savvy Radio Show. Hopefully, this increased your life.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioShow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.